Hello and welcome back to On the Fritz. Today I'm joined with Miami-based creative and entrepreneur Justin Elliott, who shared his journey of DJing, engineering, e-commerce, and building his startup, Worth. I hope you enjoy this conversation about tech, engineering, being a nerd, living a nerd life, the culture of Miami, growing up here, building here, some of the struggles and successes that come along with that, and learn a little bit more about Justin and his goals. Whether he's internationally touring as a DJ or developing an app to help you sell your sneakers safely, securely, and authentically, I think you'll have a fun time listening to this conversation. So enjoy. Let's go find out what's on the Fritz. All right, welcome back to On the Fritz. I'm your host, Fritz Spencer, and I'm here today with Justin Elliott. Justin, welcome to the show. It's going to be a great time. I'm excited to have a conversation with you and just go down the journey.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. Super honored to be here. Love the energy. Love the vibe. The name is awesome. Happy to chop it up on a nice weather day here from sunny Miami.
Yeah, man. It's always a beautiful sunny day in Miami, isn't it? Well, listen, I love, give us a brief overview. Who is Justin?
That's kind of like a little bit of a loaded question because it really depends on the day.
What day is it?
What day is it, right? But I like to think of myself as just a creative, right? I think that's kind of like the best term for myself. And it's just what it is that I'm working on and creating at the time can change. So I think that's kind of what I would say, who is Justin, a creative? Currently, what I'm creating is a startup called Worth. And it is basically a better way of conducting commerce, right? Ever since high school, I've been in the commerce industry, selling things, buying things. And, 20 years later, I know I look kind of young. It's been 20 years, actually this year, for me graduating high school. 20 years later, we figured out that the system was so broken. So that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to create a new system just so people can transact more intelligently, with more trust in the ecosystem.
Awesome. I love that. And I love that you mentioned something was broken because that's on the Fritz.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. And so let's go ahead and just dive right into that. Like, what did you see that was broken? What was on the Fritz? And you were like, you looked and you mentioned like 20 years later, you're like, damn, it's still broken.
Yeah. So what Worth is, what we're starting off in is in the collectible space, right? What we call the collectible space. And what that means is you think of sneakers, comics, watches, art, jewelry, luxury handbags, luxury items, because these are things that once they're sold at retail, most of the time they increase in value, right? So these items start to move like stocks do. So in this ecosystem, about 10 years ago, I was doing this buying, selling, trading, and running e-commerce and digital marketing for one of the largest jewelry buyers in the world, right? Based here in Miami.
Wow.
And I took some time off from that side of things, and I was working on like my DJ life. So I was like the last 10 years, international touring DJ, traveling around the world. Pandemic hit.
We're going to dive into both of those things, dude.
Yeah,
can't just gloss over that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. But, pandemic hit, I had to rethink life, right? Because as a DJ, if you're not out performing, then you're not getting paid.
Right.
Right? So the tech side has always been like parallel to my music side. So, pandemic had some time to slow down, and I started thinking, okay, what skills do I have that I can start to deep dive into and create, a new lane for myself. So diving back into tech, trying to figure things out through a friend who it's his cousin, actually is my co-founder now, Dream. His cousin, I knew him from the party scene, right? I used to DJ his parties, and I knew Dream from my co-founder from doing parties and being out. So his cousin was like, hey, my cousin has a sneaker store in Wynwood. He's killing it, but his system, like his website's not working for it, right? So that's what he said. So, can you meet with him, see what's going on? So I met with him, and like we talked for like 2 hours, and he just kind of walked through all the nuances of his business, what he needed, all the struggles with what he was using at the time. He was using Shopify and like other systems, and none of them talk to each other.
Yeah, classic.
And I was like, this is what I was doing 10 years ago, right? And I had to do the same things. Like, so nobody figured this out in that time. This is crazy, right? So let's figure this out. And because there's obviously opportunity there, right? So it's just a perfect marriage of past experiences, me looking for what's next, and then coming across a situation where we were able to find a market that was broken on the Fritz.
Yeah.
Right?
Shameless plug, dude. I appreciate you.
We were able to find a market that was on the Fritz, and just try to fix it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, it's funny that you say you came back 10 years later and you were like, no one's fixed this, but doing the same thing with the same systems. And like, so then what was the next step? You were like, all right, here's a pain point that I've identified. It's been consistent. It's not just one person. Like, there's maybe a market for this. Did you have to go down a path to like figure out where it was like, okay, this is a winding road. Where were like the speed bumps at?
So like my background is like in school, I studied engineering. So like robotics, mechanical engineering, and then like also like some computer
Sick.
engineering as well. Like, you remember like BattleBots?
Yeah, of course.
Like, it's just like build BattleBots and fight them. Like, our team actually won first in the state.
No way.
When I was in high school. So, music and the nerd side kind of coexist.
Yes.
Which I think all musicians are nerds in some capacity. So it definitely fit into that. And so what I do from my engineering background, anytime I'm going into any industry or starting anything, I always try to reverse engineer it, right? Because, they say it's a cliche thing, but they say success leaves clues, right? So it's like, if you're trying to do something, somebody out there has most likely done something similar, if not the same thing before, right? So deep diving into it is like, okay, how are successful companies built? How are they thinking about problems? How are they thinking about the markets? How are they talking to customers? So it's like deep diving into that. We're able to see that it wasn't just a sneaker problem, a watch problem. It's like, at the core, it's a peer-to-peer commerce problem, right? Because
Much bigger.
Yeah. Right. So like, we're starting in this specific industry as like our beachhead, right? Because the collectible space by itself is a $400 billion industry.
Wow.
Right. If you think about the overall peer-to-peer market, that's in the trillions, right? And what the actual problem that we're solving is that these items in the physical world, they don't carry records, right? So it goes into the lines of like tokenizing assets and attaching these physical items to digital records, so you can track provenance, who had it, where they buy it from, when was it authenticated, tracking recent sales, tracking the authentication, making sure it's actually real, right? Because
that's a big one. Authenticity, man.
Authenticity, right? And like thinking about all the different mechanisms that go into that system that nobody had really figured out. So that's really the rabbit hole that we've been going down. And we've lucky to get some really great partners to help us solve these problems. So it's been a fun journey so far. Yeah,
the journey sounds incredible. I mean, it's so funny you mentioned like music, engineering, and being a nerd, because I literally wear all three of those same hats. My first job was teaching guitar in a studio.
Nice.
As a kid.
Nice.
When I was in high school and like college, instead of taking like PE and like bullshit classes, I was in like Java and C++, like super nerd, build my own computers, and then somehow ended up, with engineering. I was also in engineering school.
Nice.
Mechanical. Turns out organic chemistry is really hard.
Yeah.
Told me I was no longer going to be an engineer. I was like, fine, all right, or organic chem, we're out of here. And so I switched to the next obvious thing, which is accounting.
that track.
Honestly, apparently there's like a brain thing where it's like engineers and accountants, we like have the same kind of OCD, I think.
Yeah.
And so I went down that path. My mom had been in a career accounting, and we lived a pretty good life. And I was like, I can do that.
Nice.
And so I went down that path of like, all right, I'm going to keep the nerd stuff with me. I build my own computers, I write my own app, build my own apps, just like you're building your own companies. And was like, I got it. This is more fun than not doing it, right? So, part-time accountant, full-time podcaster, definitely full-time nerd. But
I think that's why we get along so well.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be why like it just flows, dude. Like every time we hang out, it's a great time.
Facts.
And so I'm happy we're here in the studio recording, making it for everyone else to see.
Yeah.
How much fun we're having.
Facts.
So awesome. So tell me more about. I want to go back to the DJ piece too. That sounds so cool, and we glossed over it. And I want to hear more about that story and like kind of like the crazy highs and crazy lows. I'm sure there were.
Yeah. So I think my music journey starts like as a kid, right? So like my parents have always been into music. So it's like driving in the cars, like with my dad, it's listen to old school hip hop, and my mom is like old school R&B, like reggae, you know, dance, all those kind of vibes. So like growing up, one of my uncles was actually a DJ, like back in like you had to carry
real rack.
I carry the crates and the turntables and all that kind of stuff, right?
Real.
So he would, like, on the weekends, like he was actually a draftsman, so like in architecture, but like on the weekends he would DJ, right? Like house parties and birthday parties and those kind of things. So I would help him, right? So as a kid, I help him carry the crates, all that kind of stuff. So like I had that experience, like from then, and then, you know, going from elementary to middle school, my mom took me to a jazz concert for those in Miami down at Deering Estates, right, back in the day, and I saw Boney James play saxophone. I was like, you know what? This is when I like really fell in love with music, right? So going in 6th grade, I started playing saxophones.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
We're learning
yeah.
something new. We got a sax man in front of us. Let's go. All right. Well, I'll break the guitar out one time.
That's what's up. We can definitely have a jam session.
Yeah.
For sure. So started playing sax, and that just kind of deepened my love for music and my appreciation of it. And then going into high school, like I was still playing on the side, but not in band, because I was going down the engineering route. But I started DJing. So I started DJing like house parties and birthday parties and like the school functions and things like that. And it got really fun. And then leaving high school, I turned to promoting, so like throwing parties, right? And then
the next obvious step,
the next
of
obvious
course,
step, right? Like we were just talking before here, like we're in Wynwood now. It's like I should throw like warehouse parties in Wynwood before it was Wynwood, right? When it was still
just wood,
but they're still calling it Overtown.
Yeah, true.
Right before
I wouldn't be driving through here.
Exactly. And then, you know, I took a break from really DJing. I was focusing more on events, and then after college, I moved to Orlando for a little bit. And when I came back to Miami, I was trying to figure out what it was I wanted to do, right? And one of my good friends, shout out to DJ Genesis, actually the official DJ for Florida, 2-time Stanley Cup champion.
Stop, let's go.
Yeah. Shout out. Let's go Cats.
Vamos Gatos.
Yes. So, you know, really good friend of mine. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and at the time, he was doing like a lot of corporate stuff, a lot of house parties, a lot of weddings and things like that. So I would help him out, right? Go help him set up, carry the stuff, and then what would happen is, you know, in the early parts, I would start DJing before like the crowd started coming. Right? He started like vibing and learning, and he would teach me little tricks and things like that. He actually gave me like his entire set of music. So like
playbook,
his entire playbook, right? Really great guy, and it just really sparked like something inside. And like almost 10 years ago now, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this serious, right? So essentially the same thing that I did with Worth is like I reverse engineer what that looked like to be at the top of the game with DJing, right? So I looked at my background is Jamaican, right? So and that's like where I built like kind of my following with the events. So I was like, okay, it makes sense for me to obviously do these Caribbean Afrobeats, like those kind of vibes and such. I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, who are the top DJs in the world, right? Not like the top DJs in Miami, but who are the top in the world, right? So like that's like the overarching thing is for me is always reverse engineering.
Start from the top and work your way back. Exactly.
Right?
Okay.
So it's like, okay, the top DJs in the world were like Diplo, Calvin Harris, Tiesto, Avicii, right? And like they were the top DJs because they were considered artists, right? Like nobody's walking on the stage at Ultra while Calvin Harris is playing. Like, hey, do you have the new Cardi B?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to Ultra to see Swedish House Mafia play Swedish House Mafia.
Exactly.
Right?
Their own art.
Their own art. So I was like, okay, so that's what I need to do. So like that's what I took the time to and did. You know, I started with the remixes, then I started making my own music, and that led me down a rabbit hole of like millions of streams, like world tours. Like I think I played in now like probably over like 20 different countries.
That's sick.
Like I think the biggest crowd I ever played for was in London. Like I played in front of like 40,000 people.
Stop.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I would piss my pants.
Insane, right? Like I have some of the largest Caribbean events in South Florida. Like some of our events hit like 6,000, 8,000 people. Do stuff all over the world. But like I said, you know, the pandemic hit, and I realized that this is great, but if I'm not in person, then that's like something that's not generating revenue, right? And then also when I started on that journey, Yeah. So, also when I started that journey, I didn't have my son at the time.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So like it was okay. Like it wasn't okay, but it was less of a pull on like the emotional side when he was younger because like a kid like he just eat, sleep, shit,
Yeah.
like and repeat. Right. So like, he didn't realize like when he was like 1, 2 that was
Basically
gone.
what I'm doing right now, to be honest.
Right. But like as he got older. Then like he's playing soccer, he has his school stuff. He's like, Dad, you're missing this. Dad, you're leaving your dad. I want to come. So it's like
Late
okay,
nights,
right? So it's like, okay, so let me rethink what life looks like for the next 10, 20 years.
Start from the end.
Work the way back. Work the way back, right? So I was like, if I continue down this road, like after pandemic, like when pandemic hit, I had 2 of the biggest songs in my genre. Like I had bookings for like 18 months.
Stop.
Like out.
That's
crazy,
awesome, dude.
Right? But after pandemic was a reset. So I was like, okay, do I want to climb this mountain again and get back to the top? What does my life look like when I get back up there versus now I've reached the top. I've seen the rest of the summits. Is this a mountain I want to climb again? Or should I climb a different mountain, right? Knowing that once I reach the top of this is what life looks like.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of like how I thought about my transition. And I think it's been the right choice since.
Something you said there like hit me like a bag of rocks, which was when you were at the top of the summit, you could see the other summits, which is like so true because you can see the path up, right? When you're up there, you're like, okay, everyone here is on these summits, and this is probably about how they got up, right? And you're like, okay, I can maybe go up that journey, this journey, that journey. That's insane. I never thought about that. That's cool. I mean, and I want to also bring it back to the Worth Summit. Because that's the next summit, right?
Yeah.
What's been building that been like for you, and like, just take me along that journey a little bit.
It's probably like, so right now I feel the same way, which I haven't felt in a while, right? I feel the same way currently how I felt when I said like, okay, I'm going to take DJing serious, right? Like there's something that is like a combination of different experiences, and I felt like it was just like the right convergence of opportunity, time, and knowledge that it's been a really fun journey, right? Like it's definitely had some nights where shed some tears, have some miss some stuff, had those rough times, but at the end of the day when I wake up, every day I'm excited to work on it, right? And that's a feeling that I think that I can hold for the next 5-10 years, right? Because what we're solving at the end of the day is a massive problem that a lot of people haven't realized and can't really articulate, even the ones that are in it, right? Because if they could, it would have been solved.
Right.
Right. So like what this journey looks like has been the same. It's been like the reverse engineering, right? So it's been a lot of creating and going into rooms where I'm not the smartest person, right? So I can learn from people.
Yeah, for me, like every room.
No, man, trust me, you're definitely one of the smartest guys in every room.
It's fair. You got a lot of perspective once you've met a few people. You're like, how do they even open the door?
Yeah. So I mean, it's been cool. Like this, I've met a lot of great people like you, right? Like if it wasn't for this journey, I don't know when our cross would have passed.
Right.
When our paths would have crossed.
Right.
So it's been cool deep diving into this. Like at the end of the day, I think this gives me a lot of opportunity to put back on my engineering hat, right? Because like the first day of class, shout out to Ron Torres, the legend, the GOAT, at Robert Morgan down south, right? That was my engineering teacher, and I remember the first day of class. He in his introduction, in his speech, he said, a lot of you guys and girls in here aren't going to be engineers, right? You won't end up being an engineer in life. But what you learn in this class is problem solving, right? And that at the end of the day is what an engineer is. So if you learn the art of problem solving, that is one of the greatest skills you can learn in life, right? So like that is what I feel that I get to do and wake up and pursue every day, right? It's like every day is like, okay, this industry, these people, these users have this problem. How can I use the technology that's available today and either adapt it or create something new, right? To be able to solve these problems. And I think that is a journey that I can get behind.
Yeah. 100%. I remember my first, what led me down the engineering path was my first physics teacher.
Nice.
And it was something about, you know, the formulaic like way that everything worked, right? It was the physics of the world. Like, if this, then this, in motion, then that motion, right? And it was like, it made sense for like the first time, like a class that I cared to like not sleep through, you know? And then I remember, you know, it's funny, you mentioned that teacher telling you like, you're not going to make it. And that was what got my ass into gear in my first accounting class was the guy. I mean, I was in college and this guy's like, half of you are going to fail. I was like, this is accounting. He's like, yeah, I don't care. You're half of you are going to never make it. And he was beyond right. There was, I think, 33 students, and I think we the last class, there was 6 of us sitting for the exam.
Jeez.
First ever A in my life. My life. And I was like, I did it. I was like, you don't tell me what I'm going to fail and not fail. Like, for the first time, I was like, I'll put my mind to something and maybe it'll work out. And it did. And then I started down a career of almost 15 years now in accounting, you know, which is crazy to think about because it happens like that.
I mean, that's dope. I mean, accounting, like numbers and like that kind of stuff, like that's what really runs the world. And so it's a great field to be in. It's
funny, you know, when you're in the founder space, like investors care so much about your financial hygiene. And I love that they call it like hygiene and not like, because it is like a chore.
Yeah.
But it's something you're like, I should probably shower today.
Yeah.
You know, you wake up and you're like, I'm going to shower first.
I showered right before I came.
Yeah, I showered like at least last week probably. But no, and it's like they care so much about it, and it's like it's the foundation of every company. It's like when you build what you build, and you're building quick, and it's the way I like to put it is like you're building the car, and the finance piece is the road.
Yeah.
Like without the road, there's no point in having the car, but there's very synonymous. Like they got to go together.
Yeah.
But don't worry about the road. Worry about the car.
Yeah.
You're the founder building the car. Send it, ship it, right?
I got you for the road.
Yeah, I fix the potholes. I put the lights up. I make sure that you can see where you're going, right? And that's it. But that's the way that I love this community's building. Like right now, is like that foundation up, right? And what we've been, you know, and you also in that community, like with working with Claude Code, and you literally not convinced me, but maybe convinced me to get like a first like dive into like vibe coding and like, dude, it was awesome, man. Like I have you to thank for that because I was like, you know, I was playing with it, but then I was like, oh, I could take this seriously if I want to.
No, bro, your app is like it's awesome.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I'm managing hockey players, dude. It's tough. You know, they don't know, but now you know. I'm a big hockey guy. Go Cats, and it's a huge part of my life. And I manage 3 different teams, and it's like herding cats with no legs and no net. It's tough, man.
Irresponsible adults.
Dude, you know how hard it is to get 10 men to agree they're going to be in a place at a time?
Bro, that's like...
You know.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible.
And so tell me more about the events that you've been putting on, and we'll circle back to Worth again, because I think that's your shining star right now. But these events are great, and that's the community piece of that I love.
Yeah, so, you know, with building Worth, you know, like I said, going back to first principles, and reverse engineering things, it's like I look at the ecosystem here in Miami, and I think that right now what's happening here is it's like I said, it goes back to like that timing thing, right? Like right now there's a huge push for Miami to be the epicenter of tech, like one of the new hubs, right? And there's a lot of players in the game that are trying to make that happen. And as somebody, like I wasn't born here, but I've been here since I was 5, right? So
you're
yeah, exactly. So elementary, middle, high school, college, everything here, right? Yeah, right. So I think that when I was in high school, nobody's really talking about tech like that, right? So I think that we miss, at least my generation, miss a lot of that wave. So, you know, with everything that's going on now, you know, with me kind of deep diving back into what it looked like to be in tech, I realized that there was some key kind of components missing from the Miami ecosystem, right? Like a lot of stuff that I would go to, like it'd be cool for networking, but like there wasn't a lot of like technical people in the room that I can like bounce ideas off of. So, you know, I looked at like kind of the ecosystem. I thought that, you know, we're missing some key components of what it takes to be like what that tech hub looks like, right? like, not to sound like facetious, right? But I think that in the grand scheme of, if you think of like everybody that's using AI and what they're using it for, I consider myself like in like the top percentile, right? Like before GPT had it where you could have context, I was copying entire PDFs into the system because I knew that if it had this context, it would be able to do this, right? So like I was stitching together things because I kind of understood like what the end result would be and like how it could work. So you know, I've always kind of been like on the edge of it, right? So like, for example, in building Worth, you know, I'd go to events here, and a lot of it, like I met a lot of great people, right? Like I met you, you know, other people that have helped us along the journey. But on the technical side, it like Miami is more like I feel like a lot of the things are more like for the social, right? For like support, right? Like I went to SF the first time I went there. One of our advisors, a Stanford guy, shout out to Zach. You know, so I went out there to go meet with some VCs and do some networking and some stuff out there. And literally the first event that I went to, so we're also part of AWS for startups, right? So we got invited to AWS Loft in San Francisco. And literally the first tech event that I went to out there, they did a workshop. And that one workshop, I was like, oh, that's what the fuck is called. I've been trying to figure out like I had the concept in my head. I was like, I need to create a system that does this. And like when I have this input, it does this, and then it stores it this way and does this and do this. Like, oh yeah, that's what this is called. Like we're doing this, talk about this. I was like, what the fuck? This is like, where is this, right?
Yeah, like you're surrounded by like real builders that are always building, right?
Yeah, I mean, and not to say they're not here, right? Because like
they are here, but they leave.
They are here, right? And they leave, and like I feel like they don't really have like a space. We didn't have like a space, right?
Yeah.
Like shout out to the lab, shout out to Doc. You know, you do a really good job of putting on some great events. You know, and you can't, and so now the ecosystem is building. Right? So, which you know, like I said, back in the day, I didn't really see that. So I'm just trying to be a contributor to that ecosystem, right? So anybody that's in the space, you know, Claude and Anthropic, that team, like that's like, I think out of all the AI tools, at least for the development, like the actual development process side of things, they have gotten it the most correct.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you think about all the models, like all the platforms like Lovable, Base 44, Bolt, all of them use Claude. Right, that's like what is running their system
underneath it. Yeah,
I feel like the Anthropic team sprinkles an extra little bit of crack in the Claude code itself that they don't.
A little bit of crack
that they don't give to anybody else. Right, they put some extra little sauce in it that nobody else has because, like, you know, I've been using these AI tools for the last 24 months. Right, so I've used all of them. Right, and I've seen the iterations. I've seen the different changes when the models update. Right. And I feel like Claude is the first one that it actually meant for what a development process looks like, right? So like a lot of these tools, you know, you can tell so I use this analogy, right? That if you tell AI, build me a house, it'll build a beautiful house, right? But it might not be the house that you actually needed, because you didn't say like, okay, do you want a Spanish style house or a modern house?
You want 4 bathrooms? You want 100?
Right? Did you want a townhouse? Right?
Yeah.
Like is a floor wood? Is it tile? Is it vinyl?
Right? It just makes it up as it goes.
It just makes it up, right? And that's not how like a real development process works, right? And
exactly.
I think that a lot of these tools, they will have you go down the rabbit hole of like a prompt circle.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, you try to do this one thing.
Infinite feedback
loop, right? It's like, okay, no, I asked you to do this, but it changed this and now this is broken.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, you know, that process of scoping everything out, you know, it'll end up on the Fritz.
Yes, it will. It'll be broken.
It'll be broken, right? So it's like, you know, with Claude, I think it's built for the way that, you know, the real development cycle works, right? So with the planning mode, it talks you through, right? It literally asks you, okay, before, like now it has updates where like, okay, did you mean this? Did you mean this? Did you mean that? And so like that, it just has a better flow.
Yeah.
Right. And so going back to like how this kind of started, I was in SF at an Anthropic event, and I was like, yo, like we need this in Miami. Right. Like we need
desperately.
We need this kind of thing. I was in a room with like hundreds of engineers, and I was like, I've never been in this room in Miami.
Doesn't exist.
Right. So I was like, this is literally the number one company leading the path, leading the charge, and Miami, like the ecosystem is craving for this. I was like, okay, how do we bring this here? Right. So they connected me with their community team, and they're like, yo, we love the concept. Actually, I had done another workshop like a month before that. And I was like, yo, like I want to make this workshop a monthly series, and they're like, we love it, let's do it. So like they named me like the official Claude Code ambassador for Miami.
Let's go.
So yeah, once a month we're holding it down at the dock.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I love that they gave you that title too, and you're so right about like you got to play with all the models, even the shit ones, because like until you know what doesn't work, then you definitely don't know what does.
Facts.
Like I remember starting out building this app to manage my hockey life, and I was like in Lovable, and then I hit some roadblocks, and then you introduced me to Claude, and then I hit those roadblocks just instantly cleared, and then I was like, all right, let's see everything else, right? And then I started building with like Perplexity and using it for like more scholarly research, and now I'm learning like every single model has its like not niche but like use case, right? And if you combine them all together into a system in your own system, right, in your own planning and thought process, now you're building with intent. And when you're building with that intent, you actually get results. Whereas before, you're getting the feedback loop, you're getting bullshit, honestly, like hallucinating, and you like change this, and it just changes 10 things instead of one thing. And it's like, oh God, now I gotta do it again, do it again.
Yeah. I mean, so like that's like so. Today's Friday. We actually had our Claude event yesterday, and that was the workshop that I did. Right, it's like my framework is context. Once you have the context, then it's planning, right? To create that framework of the steps that need to be done, and then it's the execution and refinement. Yeah. Right. So after the workshop, I was talking with somebody, and they were showing me like their code and kind of like figuring out what they're doing. So they were using Lovable, right? So I downloaded the code and I ran one of my workflows to see the quality and like where it's at, like. For actual launch production, it's at like 24%.
Yeah.
And they've been working on this for months.
Oh, no. Hey, but it's good to have that perspective now.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, like I think that, when you think about like what that development process actually looks like and like shipping real products, like it's like you have to have the framework.
Yeah.
Right? So like I think that's like, especially with the Miami culture, like a lot of people want things fast, right? Because like there's a lot of like
dale.
That guy get exactly dale, right? Like you have to get it now, like the gap on where people think people are and like where they are, like they think that you can jump all that, right?
The same way that they're driving a rented like Lambo, they're driving like a rented Lovable. Exactly. It's the same, dude.
Exactly, right? So it's like I think creating those rooms and creating those spaces where it's like, all right, like the people here that are trying to build stuff, they're craving, like they want to learn, right? They want to figure it out. So just creating spaces that you can pair people that are trying to figure it out and just work together, I think that's more of what the ecosystem needs. Right?
Yeah.
So just trying to be a facilitator of that.
I think the biggest thing that we can do, and orgs like yours and founder like you is when they raise money to hire people, they convince people to stay here. Yeah. That's like the most crucial thing. Like if you can build here, stay here, live here, work here, that's when the snowball effect really starts to go downhill. And to me, that's like the one edge that the other communities kind of have over like South Florida, is that if you need to hire somebody, they're there, they're ready, right? And here it's like a search. And so it's like, okay, now we're using tools to kind of get away from that, but also at the same time, we're going to have to bring those people in and get them on board. And who doesn't want to live in Florida, Miami, dude? Like, come on. Like it's an easy sell, but yet still it's a slow roll. Yeah. So I'm interested to see what the next like 6 months to a year looks like for us in terms of like the types of people that move here, not just like, the snowbirds that come down for when it gets cold.
No, for sure. Like I think Peter Thiel just opened up an office here.
Yep.
Right. So it's like the thing. I think the biggest thing has been is that the money is in South Florida.
Oh God, yeah.
Right. But it's just like what the money was focused on before was hospitality,
real estate,
right, and healthcare.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't really more so focused on tech. And what that leads to is, there's a stat from this one platform that helps founders raise that 100% of their startups that raise capital from Miami left.
Wow.
100%, which is wild, right?
That's crazy.
But the reason that is because if you're raising funds and the funds aren't here, your investors are in SF, they're in New York, in Austin,
they're reeling you like home, right? You know?
So like if somebody just wrote you a check for $5 million and it's like, hey, we have office space for you here, right? We have a new CTO for you here. We have a team of engineers here. Why would you not leave?
Right.
Right. Like they have the infrastructure built for scale, right? They've already invested in and built 100 unicorns. They have the playbook.
Yeah.
Right? But what that looks like for a founder or a small team is like if it's a 2-person team from Miami, you get a $5 million investment from SF and you end up moving there. Now your first engineers are from SF, right? They're Stanford kids. Like your first, your HR team is from there, right? Your finance team is from there, right? Your customer service team, right? But what ends up happening is those early employees, they get equity, right? So when you have the IPO or you sell, you have that merger acquisition, then that's who becomes the new angels.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a trickle down effect, right? So now, even though you're a startup from Miami, everybody that benefited from your success is not from Miami.
You know what I love about the SF playbook and the NYC playbook is that it doesn't work here. Like that's the best part is like if you try to bring those same tactics to Florida and South Florida where now the new motion is kind of going it doesn't work the same way. The culture here is just built different. And in a good way, I think. It has pros and cons. But when you build here and like I said, build here, live here, and then grow here, I feel like the chances of staying here. And I actually have a great example of some buddies of mine that built their company. They raised money from Slack. Shout out Hunter and Jordan. And they had the same exact call. Like this was probably this is before COVID too, this is at COVID actually. And they raised this money and they got the call like, hey, when are you guys moving to SF? And they're like, we're not. We ain't doing it. Like we're building in Gainesville.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
And they were probably like looked at like side eye, like, are you sure? You okay? Like check this, And they were like, no, we're doing it here. Like we want to build it here. There's no need to move. And they're okay. So yeah, and they're flourishing, man. They're killing it. They're doing, and they've pivoted a couple times, and they've got the people on board and the customer base and everything. And it's like you can do it here, man. Like there's no excuses.
No, for sure. I mean, and that's a goal of Worth, right? Like we want to be one of those stories that to show and prove that you can be from Miami, build in Miami, stay in Miami, grow in Miami, and build the ecosystem, right? So like that's like one of our main things. Like we say, like we're like literally the first program that we entered when we started this was built in Miami. Right. So like that's what we want to honor and stay. So this is the ecosystem that we, grew up, love, and, just hope to stay and also participate and help, with that growth.
So what's next then? A lot, I know.
Yeah. I mean, what's next for us is, just focusing on building the company. Right. Like, there's a saying in the startup world is like make sure people win, right? So like that's the area that we're in right now, right?
It changes every day.
Yeah, right. So it's like iterating on the product, talking to our customers, getting more customers, building out our sales funnel. We're also like in our pre-seed round, so like we're raising, so trying to lock that in so we can hire like our first set of people.
Let's go
from Miami.
Let's go.
Right.
The local hires.
Yeah, the local hires, and just we're trying to be one of Miami's next unicorns, right? So like that's a goal. Like I've already built a 7-figure business before. Like my next goal is to build $1 billion.
Let's go. You got this, man. I got faith. And so how can anyone that's in the audience, how could they help make that happen? Who's like someone you want to meet, like a connection that would help you just take it to the next level? Like what's like if tomorrow you could meet someone or do something, it would change like your entire path?
Yeah. So I think, at this point where we're at, with the funds that we have raised, it's not really about the money, right? It's really more so about the person. And, with building and starting in this collectible space, like we want other collectors, right? So like we just got some angel investment, that was a good sizable amount. It's a guy that collects sports cards.
Okay.
Right? Like one of our first hires that we're looking to bring on is like literally one of the largest collectors in the world. Like at one point, like his collection is worth for like over $100 million. Right. So like those are the people that we're bringing to the ecosystem because they understand the culture, the problems from like the most intricate, high level. You know what I'm saying? High level with the deep dive and understand the full scope of things. So like what that looks like, you know, for like those intros is like on my cap table, I want like Gary V.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Mark Cuban, right? Mr. Wonderful, right? Logan Paul.
I don't know if they're going to be on the same cap table, dude. You're going to get one or the other. Right. I don't know how well they play together.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just TV, but.
Right. I can't remember his name right now.
I got a guy in mind already. I'm excited to introduce you to him.
Yeah.
He's in the blockchain crypto space too. Maybe you know of him then, because I think you guys have a blockchain aspect to it. Stephen Walborough.
Yeah.
He founded Halburn.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be interviewing him at the Fort Lauderdale Tech meetup.
Dope.
Coming soon, so you'll be there.
Nice, yeah,
obviously with bells on, you know.
Nice. Yeah.
And you know, he raised I think like 90 million from some VCs and now he's got that blockchain business, a security business, but then his passion is collecting.
Bro. It's like I think that every like the other goal with Worth is like we want to turn everybody into a collector.
Yeah. Anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it, right? Like,
everybody loves something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like so everybody loves something, right? And like it's like how do you unlock the value in these tangible assets, right? Like how do you actually catalog them? How do you portfolio them, right?
You should see my desk, dude. I got like a plethora of like collectible desk items, you know, that range from like, you know, what are those the
Funko
Pops to like a marble globe, you know?
Nice.
Yeah, like a little paperweight. Like it's and you might like this one. It's this thing that you flip and it drops the it's kind of like the what's that betting where you drop the
like
Plinko.
Yeah.
It's a standard deviation graph, and you just flip it, and it does the perfect standard deviation thing. It's such a nerd. Yeah, Jamie, pull that up. Pull it up on screen. There is no Jamie. It's just Fritz.
Nice.
Yeah, but listen, man, I want to leave it there with you. This was awesome insights into your life and what you're building with Worth, and I'm excited to see what comes next. And I always want to give you a chance to tell everyone how to best connect with you personally and the company.
Yeah, man. You know, first, I definitely want to say thank you for having me. Right?
Of course, man.
It's an honor to be on the Fritz. I love the energy. Great conversation. And, you know, anybody that wants to connect, LinkedIn, Justin Elliott. On the socials, it's LL Cool Blaze.
I love that, dude. That's
DJ name.
So good. LL Cool Blaze is one of the best Instagram handles, and he's got
it. Yeah. So LL Cool Blaze. Just look me up. The website is worth.it. So WRTH.it.
Perfect.
And then on all the socials, it's Worth app.
Perfect.
Right. So yeah, look out for Worth. If you're a collector in the space, love to talk to you. Love to talk to you about how you think about your collection and your pain points. Just make a better product.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I love it so much. Appreciate you, Doug.
Thank you, man.
Let's go. If you enjoyed this conversation and you hung around to this point, I invite you to put your fist through the like button. I invite you to slap your forehead into the like button. If you could throw everything you have at the like button, I want you to imagine the like button is your childhood bully. Hit it as hard as you can. Don't forget to voice your own opinions in the comments. I welcome feedback. You can find more episodes like this on all the platforms that we have: YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music. Feel free to connect. I'm Fritz Spencer. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of On the Fritz.